Hey there. Not all software problems can be fixed quickly. I mean, we know that if you've done that for a while. I'm talking about bugs. Even the simplest of bugs, at least bugs that come across as simple to begin with, they can take quite a bit of time before they get resolved. And here's an example. A couple of days ago, we noticed a lag in our mobile app, right? Things were slow. Generally, our app is pretty fast. We've done a ton of improvements over a period of time, and we do a whole lot of caching as well on the phone, on the device. So the performance has been quite all right. But we noticed that there was a lag, a noticeable one. I'm very picky in general, but this one, even if you're not that picky, you would have noticed it. It was quite apparent, right? So we were like, okay, nothing changed from that standpoint. So we were wondering what could have caused this lag. Anyways, so let me take an example, a specific example, right? So you go navigate, maneuver through the pages, and we went to one of the pages. You'd see the spinner for like 3 seconds or so. Something we don't ever want to see. I mean, unless you're outside, you don't have great data, then we have not a whole lot of control. But assuming you have decent Wi-Fi or decent data plan when you're outside, your connectivity is good, things should be pretty quick. We noticed that it took time, and then I started debugging it. I went to our web app, right? We have a web app, a mobile web, and then a mobile app. So I went to the web app, things were just fine, no issues. I went to the mobile web app, things were just fine as well, no issues. By virtue of doing that, it tells me because there are common points, all of them use like a set of API servers, and if there was an issue with the API, then you would expect the other clients, right, the mobile web and web clients to be slow, just as slow, right? That was not the case. I mean, they were just perfectly fine. So I was like, okay, then it's not the API, it's got to be maybe the mobile code. So then to do that, I just tried to run the mobile code locally on my machine and pushed it to, I did it on both my Android and iPhone device. Deployed it, pushed it to my devices, so the code from my machine, not the actual download from the App Store, right? Or not from test flight. So when I did that, I pointed to the API server. There were no issues again. So that was interesting. So all else being the same, what's the difference? And then what I did was I was running it on the simulator. First I was running it on the simulator locally, and then I did the same thing but pushed it to actual real devices on my machine. I was hoping that I would see the issue, but to my disappointment or dismay, I did not see the issue. Things were fine one more time, right? I was like, okay, so going through the web was all right, going through the mobile web is all right, going through the mobile app on a simulator locally is fine, and then on an actual device locally is also fine, no issues. Now what are the differences, right? The only difference is when you downloaded this from the App Store or Play Store, we noticed that it took those 3 seconds. And I'm trying to wonder what could be the difference. So I tried many different things, and sometimes after you get to the solution, which thankfully I got to, after like 8 hours or so, I think, over a few days sitting on it. But once you get to the solution, you're like, okay, why did I not think of this before? But here's what happens, right? You're trying all permutations and combinations to try and identify what the difference could be, the delta, so you can dig deeper into the delta. And then we have a few, and when I'm running it locally, I connect to one of our lower environments. I connect to the API running on my machine, and then I also connect to production, staging and production, to test a few things. So I was testing this as using my own account, right? So I want to keep everything else exactly the same, and then same users, same pages, same blocks, same pods, pretty much the same ceteris paribus conditions, right? Because if you change one too many things or even 2 things at a time, you wouldn't know what may have caused the problem. So always make sure just change one at a time. So long story short, I did a bunch of things after that, and then I identified that when I made the request over SSL, this problem surfaced itself, right? Again, everything else being the same, if I actually made the request over HTTP and not HTTPS, then there was no problem. I was like, okay, that was the significant progress in terms of my debugging when I got to that point. It was quite a relief, even though I didn't have a solution at that point. Then I was like, okay, if it is SSL related, what's the difference? Because the web request, the mobile web request, they all go through SSL, obviously. So what could be the difference? And then I figured, okay, there could be dependencies between how our mobile app functions, our libraries, our plugins, and how it works with, over SSL. And again, this problem started occurring only 3 days ago, not before then. So something must have surely changed. There's always certificates and other types of changes that happen all over the place. Anyway, we use different services, we use middleware services, we use database services, and there's always emails that come to you saying, hey, we're making some upgrades and changes, so make sure things are working all right. Anyway, so I was like, okay, what could be causing this SSL issue? And requests over SSL are known to be slower. The handshake and TLS and all of the kind of cool stuff that you can read online, it does add to the response times of these endpoints. So again, continuing with the debugging, I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get the SSL working? And I was trying to figure out if we had changed something. No, we didn't change anything, at least related to this. We made other changes, obviously, we make changes all the time, but no changes related to this item. And then I was like, okay, maybe then if it is slower over SSL in particular, that also explains why when I connected to my machine locally, I'm not over SSL, right? It's just an HTTP request. When I'm doing all of my dev work, things were just all right. So I was pretty certain that was what was causing the problem. So at least the issue was identified. The cause was identified as well. Now I had to find a solution. What I then thought about was, okay, when you make this request, we point to our API server. We have the DNS managed by DNS providers and name servers. Once it goes there, it then resolves itself, and then it redirects the request to the Heroku servers, right? Again, I'm trivializing. There's lots of hops in between. If you run traceroute and all of that kind of stuff, you can tell more. But anyways, I was like, okay, how can I remove that? And the way I was just looking to see how we had configured our request, and then I noticed that we were making it point to the DNS, and then it was then redirecting internally, right, to the actual Heroku server. I was like, okay, I didn't know if that caused the problem, but I'm like, okay, let me reduce that hop to the extent I can, right? So I went to our deployments, found the actual the DNS, and then I'm like, okay, let me skip going through the DNS name, DNS Resolver, right? And if I'm using some of this language incorrectly, apologies, because that's not my area of expertise. Not even sure what really is. You tend to do a little bit of everything and a lot of something at any given point of time. But hopefully you get the idea. So I then made it point directly to my server, the API server. So literally the change was going from HTTPS blah 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 dot whatever .com to our API server's internal DNS name, right? And to my delight, that solved the problem, right? That was all I had to do. So it was literally like a one-liner change. But of course, it took 8 hours, maybe more, to get to the bottom of that particular problem. So, well, that's what it was. And now I pushed it to the App Store and Play Store, and then they approved it. And now if you, just pick up a latest version or just upgrade the app that you have, you'll notice that you won't notice this lag. So hopefully that helps you. You can keep that in mind. I know this took close to 10 minutes, but at least if it saves you 8 hours, maybe it could have taken longer. And trust me, this is the kind of stuff you can look for help. Hard to look for help online, because when I did that, I spent like half an hour doing that, and it would be a wild goose chase because people run into these types of problems for a variety of reasons, and then some approach may have helped them, others may not. So you would be just going down the wrong path. So you have to solve your problem sometimes by yourself. Cool. Talk to you soon, and don't forget to download our app from the App Store and Play Store. Thank you.